おはようございます。海外難民の妻です。Today is Monday, the best worst day of the week. The best because baby and I have so many activities today. But the worst because honey goes back to work. On Monday, baby and I go to playgroup. It's a free activity at our local library. It happens once a week for an hour and a half. It's a lot of fun for us because baby gets to play and I get to meet other parents. It's been really nice since we started coming because we don't have many kids in our lives. So baby gets to be with people his own age, and we both get out of the house for a bit. After playgroup, we come home and baby takes his nap. During this time, I plan what we are going to eat for the week. I can and do go to the food store about twice a week, but I do most of the shopping on Monday. In the US, it's common to only go food shopping once a week. I remember in Japan, many people would go shopping every day or every other day. When I lived there, I would go food shopping after work every day. But in the US, that's not common at all. There are a couple of reasons for this. 1. The portion sizes. Most food is sold in large quantities in the US. We don't have individually wrapped vegetables or half sizes of large vegetables. Everything is sold in bulk. 2. Preservatives. Most food in the US is loaded with preservatives, especially fruit and vegetables. While in Japan, I noticed my vegetables went bad way quicker, so I needed to use them almost immediately. In the US, some vegetables can last weeks, and most fruit will last at least 1 week. So, when you shop in the US, you can buy things way in advance. 3. Cars. As most people who live in the suburbs own cars, we can do large shopping trips. Additionally, food stores aren't as conveniently located as they are in Japan. So most people like to cut down on their trips to and from the stores. So, on Mondays, I plan out roughly what I'd like for us to eat each night. I usually only plan 3 meals because one night I usually don't feel like cooking anything special, or we will eat leftovers. And then Friday is Noodle Friday. For those of you who don't know, we have noodles every Friday as an easy meal. I don't plan too much though, as I like to see what is fresh or on sale in the store. One thing I really like about food in Japan was that there is a big focus on seasonal foods. That's not a big concept in the US, as you can get everything at any time of the year. They don't always taste good, but they are always available. I found it so much more fun to cook with what was in season. It was definitely one of my favorite aspects of living in Japan. It was hard at first for me actually, because I would plan a meal and then get to the store and realize what I needed was out of season. Or the store just didn't have it that day. So I slowly learned to go to the store and see what was there before fully planning a meal. Over time, I started to know what foods would be available when. I would pay attention to when certain fruits or vegetables were in season. My meals started to taste much more flavorful than they had in the US. On top of that, I was buying ingredients and using them in the same day, so everything was fresh. While I definitely don't still go food shopping every day here, I now do try to buy in-season foods only. I try not to cook any recipes that include out-of-season ingredients, or I substitute them for something in season instead.
Get out of here, okay? Good.
While I can still get the ingredients basically all year, I try to avoid that. I have a lot of fun with it, and I have living in Japan to thank for that. I never realized how weird it was that in the US, we always have everything. I now notice how bland the out-of-season strawberries taste, or how colorless the tomatoes are in the winter.
Let me get you a straw. Hold on.
That's not to say that it's all bland or colorless all the time. While in season, many American fruits and vegetables are delicious. I particularly love the sweet corn grown in the area in the late summer. The raspberries are also fantastic in July. I always try to use these when I know they're at their best. Overall, I do like American food and supermarkets. I wouldn't say I like Japanese food or supermarkets more, but I do think the food is better in Japan. That's just my opinion, but here are some reasons why I think that. 1. The food is better quality in Japan. In the US, I often will buy something only to come home and find there was something wrong with it. For example, I've bought eggplant that looked and felt fine, but when I cut it open, it was brown inside. In Japan, I don't think I ever bought something that wasn't perfect. Or, if it wasn't perfect, you could buy it at a discount. 2. As I mentioned, the seasonal thing. I wish American food would follow this system and not have everything all the time. 3. The portion sizes. I was always thrilled that I could buy just a quarter of cabbage instead of the whole thing. I don't often need a whole cabbage at once, so I liked that there were multiple portion sizes for the same thing. I often find things going to waste that I buy in the US because I didn't need all of it. 4. Ready-made food. In Japan, you can get a pretty healthy, pre-packaged meal for relatively cheap. We don't have that in the US, aside from maybe a salad bar. 5. Bonus reason. The variety of mushrooms. I absolutely love mushrooms and was shocked at how many different kinds there were in Japan. We basically have 3 types of mushrooms sold at most stores in the US. Though portobello aren't sold in Japan, and those are great. There are many things I do like about American supermarkets and food though. 1. 24-hour supermarkets. These are so convenient, and some of the best shopping can be done super early in the morning. 2. Less plastic and waste. There has been a big push in the stores for reducing plastic and waste. Plastic shopping bags are no longer used at all, and many companies are now using biodegradable packaging on their products. 3. The variety. Though sometimes it can be too much variety, there are so many different options in US supermarkets. As someone who has dietary restrictions, I like that there are many products I can choose from. 4. Vegetarian and vegan options. So about the only complaint I had while living in Japan concerning the food was that there were not many vegetarian options. The US is the most vegan-friendly country in the world, so it was a big change for me when I moved to Japan. As you always tend to like the food you ate while growing up, I do love American food.
What you want?
Even the food that is unhealthy and super processed, like boxed mac and cheese. It's comforting to me and reminds me of my childhood.
She's very good at keeping the
But
romance
I can
alive.
definitely recognize that
romance
Japanese
alive.
food is overall better quality. It's the thing I miss the most about Japan. Though I do love having my favorite American foods around, like bagels and pizza, I immediately miss Japanese food after returning home. Some of the ones I missed the most surprised me, like natto and oden. I also miss being able to eat out often and it not being so expensive. While there are cheap places in the States, these days it's hard to get a meal for two without paying at least $30. At $30, the food is usually low quality too. I remember getting some of the best food in Japan for less than 1,000 yen. By far, the cheapest and healthiest way to eat in the US is to eat at home. That's why I cook almost every meal my family eats. At this point, I can cook basically all my favorite meals and it's cheaper. Hopefully, the next thing I'll learn how to make is natto.